You want to know the most powerful force in this world? It's not the one that screams the loudest. It's not the one that posts every move, every dream, every step online. The most powerful force is the one you never see coming. It's the seed planted in silence, watered in the dark, and when it finally breaks through, it takes the world by storm. That's you in 2025 if you decide to stop needing recognition and start owning your path. Because here's the truth. When you live for applause, you become a slave to noise. But when you live for purpose, you become untouchable. Detachment from external validation is not apathy. It's strength. It's the inner knowing that your worth, your destiny, your greatness doesn't need anyone else's permission to exist. Some of you have been so distracted by proving yourself that you've forgotten to build yourself. You've been explaining your dreams instead of executing them. Every time you announce what you're going to do, you give away a piece of your energy. And energy is sacred. It fuels the vision that no one else can see but you. Silence protects it. Silence preserves it. Silence multiplies it. In 2025, your job is not to convince people of your potential. It's to make your potential undeniable. And that happens when you withdraw from the addiction of approval and attach yourself to the mission. Think about it. A lion doesn't announce that it's the king. A river doesn't make noise before it carves valleys through stone. The universe doesn't explain the sunrise, it just rises. That's how your success should look. Inevitable, undeniable, unstoppable. Understand this. Emotional detachment is not about being cold. It's about being free. Free from fear of judgment. Free from the need to be liked. Free from the urge to broadcast every step. When you're free, you move differently. You work not to be noticed, but because it's who you are. You create not for claps, but because creation is your calling. And when you live like that, success doesn't just arrive, it overwhelms everything around you. Here's the revelation. Greatness is quiet until it isn't. The work you do in silence is the echo that will shake the walls of this world. While others are chasing likes, you'll be chasing legacy. While others are addicted to attention, you'll be addicted to alignment. And when the time is right, when the fruit is ripe, success will make the announcement for you and no one will be able to deny it. True power doesn't announce itself, it manifests through results. Think about that for a moment. The people who carry real strength, the ones who are truly unstoppable, don't need to broadcast it. They don't need to seek validation or convince anyone of who they are. Their results, their impact, their presence, it speaks louder than any words ever could. Power that has to shout is fragile. Power that is rooted in certainty is silent, and yet everyone feels it. When you're truly aligned with your purpose, when you know where you're going, you don't have to keep telling the world about your plans. You don't have to keep proving yourself, you simply act. You take steps every single day in the direction of your vision, and the outcomes become so undeniable that people have no choice but to notice. That is what it means to let success speak. Not your ego, not your explanation, success itself. Think of the tallest trees in the forest. They don't grow by screaming louder than the rest. They grow by sinking their roots deep into the soil, silently gathering strength, silently reaching upward, until one day, announcement, they tower over everything around them. That's what real power is like. It doesn't come from attention. It comes from consistency. It doesn't come from noise. It comes from quiet, relentless focus. And here's the truth. If you're constantly trying to prove how powerful you are, you're wasting the very energy that could make you powerful. Every ounce of energy spent seeking recognition is energy stolen from building being real. The strongest individuals are not the loudest in the room. They are the ones so grounded in their mission that they don't have to say a word. Their results say it all. Silence is not weakness. It's a declaration of unshakable certainty. Most people confuse silence with passivity, as if being quiet means being invisible, as if withholding your thoughts or not showcasing your move means you lack confidence. But the truth is the opposite. Silence is the language of those who already know who they are, those who don't need external affirmation to validate their existence. When you're grounded in your vision and your purpose, you don't need to broadcast it. You already know the outcome is inevitable. The person who constantly needs to speak, to explain, to prove is often the one still uncertain. Their voice is loud because their foundation is shaky. But the person who stands in silence radiates a different kind of strength. It's the kind of presence you can feel without a word being spoken. That silence says, I don't need to convince you because what I'm building will speak for itself. That silence is power. Think of the ocean before a storm, calm, still, yet carrying within it a force that can shake everything in its path. Silence works the same way. It is the reservoir where strength gathers, where clarity sharpens, where focus becomes unbreakable. It's in silence that you refine your vision. It's in silence that you build your resilience. And it's in silence that you align yourself so deeply with your mission that no amount of noise from the outside world can knock you off track. Silence is a declaration, I am enough. I don't need to be seen right now because what I'm becoming cannot be ignored when the time comes. That is not weakness. That is mastery. That is certainty so deep it doesn't require sound to be felt. When you detach emotionally from external validation, you rise above noise. Most people live in a prison built from opinions. They are constantly measuring their worth based on the reactions of others, chasing approval and fearing rejection. But here's the truth. As long as you're tethered to what others think, you're not free. You're being pulled in every direction, shaped by voices that don't even understand your vision. Emotional detachment is the key that unlocks true strength because it allows you to operate from a place of clarity instead of desperation. When you no longer depend on praise, you gain power. When you no longer crumble under criticism, you gain freedom. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop needing them to define you. It's the ability to keep moving even when no one claps for you, even when no one notices. And ironically, that's when people begin to notice. Because nothing is more magnetic than a person who is certain of themselves without the constant hunger for validation. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is talking, trying to impress, trying to be seen. And then there's one person sitting quietly, calm, at peace, unbothered. That energy stands out than all the noise combined. That's the power of detachment. It gives you presence not by effort, but by being. Validation is temporary. Purpose is eternal. The moment you stop chasing the highs of approval and fearing the lows of rejection, you rise above the noise. You become untouchable. You act not because someone is ice, but because it's who you are. That is the freedom of emotional detachment. The freedom to build, to create, to live on your own terms, fully anchored in your truth. The loudest energy in the room is not the one that shouts, but the one that is undeniable. Real influence doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't come from raising your voice higher than everyone else's. It comes from presence, from alignment, from the inner certainty that radiates outward without effort. You've seen this before. Two people can walk into the same space. One tries to dominate with noise, demanding attention, while the other says little yet commands the atmosphere. The difference is energy. One is performing, the other is embodying. Noise fades, but presence lingers. People may remember what was said for a moment, but they never forget how energy made them feel. That's why the most impactful individuals are not the ones who try hardest to step. Do you notice they are the ones so grounded in themselves that they cannot be ignored? Their silence carries more weight than someone else's speech. Their calmness speaks louder than someone else's aggression. It's not about volume, it's about authenticity. Think about the sun. Doesn't need to announce its arrival every morning. It doesn't shout. It simply rises, and the world feels its power. That is how undeniable energy works. It doesn't convince. It demonstrates. It doesn't push. It pulls. And the reason it resonates so deeply is because it's real. When you cultivate that kind of energy, you no longer need to compete with noise. You don't need to prove your worth or shout your intentions. People sense it. They feel the stability, the clarity, the strength. The loudest person in the room might capture attention for a moment, but the person with undeniable energy influences the entire atmosphere. That's the kind of power no one can overlook. Discipline and silence builds momentum that no distraction can disrupt. Most people lose their way because they want immediate recognition. They want to be seen in the process, not just in the results, but the real giant success understand that discipline thrives in the shadows. It's the daily choices made when no one is watching, the commitments honored in the quiet moments that create an unstoppable force over time. Momentum is not built by bursts of loud effort. It's built by consistent, almost invisible actions. Every day you choose to rise earlier, to focus deeper, to execute your plan without needing to announce it. You're stacking bricks. Each silent act compounds until it creates a wall of strength so solid that nothing can tear it down. That's why those who work in silence become unstoppable. They're not distracted by opinions, not seduced by applause, and not shaken by criticism. Their discipline becomes their shield, and their consistency becomes their weapon. Distractions lose their power when discipline is in command. If you're chasing attention, every noise can pull you away. But if you're anchored in discipline, you move forward regardless of the noise. Think a train on its tracks, focused, deliberate, unstoppable. People may shout from the sidelines, but the train doesn't stop to argue. It keeps moving because its direction is already set. That's what silence does. It locks you into your purpose so tightly that nothing can derail you. And here's the beauty. By the time the world notices, momentum is already too strong to be stopped. What looked invisible for months or years suddenly appears as overnight success, when in reality it is silent discipline stacking, building, and compounding into greatness. That is the kind of momentum no distraction can touch. Purpose-driven action thrives in the shadows before it shines in the light. Every masterpiece is born in silence, in hidden moments where no one is clapping, no one is watching, and no one knows what is being built. The most extraordinary achievements rarely begin with applause. They begin with quiet dedication, unseen sacrifice, and a vision that only the Creator can see. The light is where recognition comes, but the shadows are where power is forged. Think about a seed. Before it breaks through the soil, it spends weeks or months buried in darkness. It grows roots where no one can see, anchoring itself, drawing strength, preparing for the moment it will reach upward. Without those unseen stages, the tree could never stand tall. Your purpose works the same way. It doesn't need an audience at the beginning. It needs your consistency, your faith, and your willingness to embrace the quiet grind when no one believes in you yet. Too many people quit in the shadows because they mistake invisibility for insignificance. They think if others can't see their progress, it must not matter. But what they fail to realize is that the shadows are a service. That's where your character is built. That's where your resilience is tested. That's where your purpose is refined so deeply that when the light finally shines on you, you're unshakable. Action without purpose dies in the light because it's fueled by attention. But action rooted in purpose thrives in silence because it's fueled by conviction. And when conviction carries you, the light becomes inevitable. The applause will come, but it won't define you because you'll already know that the shadows were the birthplace of everything that made you great. Confidence is knowing you don't need to be seen to be significant. Real confidence isn't loud, it isn't flashy, it doesn't demand attention. It's not built on how many people are watching or applauding. It's built on the quiet, unshakable belief that what you're doing matters, whether anyone notices or not. True confidence doesn't rush to prove itself. It doesn't scramble to explain or justify. It simply moves with purpose because it already knows its worth. When you're secure within yourself, you stop needing the spotlight to validate your path. You no longer measure your progress by how many people are clapping. You don't beg for recognition. But your value isn't dependent on being noticed. It's rooted in who you are and what you're building. That kind of confidence is magnetic because people can sense when someone is grounded. It's not in their words, it's in their presence. Think of a mountain. It doesn't need to scream to prove its size. It simply exists, immovable, undeniable. That's how real confidence works. It doesn't seek acknowledgement. Acknowledgement naturally finds it. The person who constantly tries to be seen is revealing insecurity. The person who can remain steady, even in silence, is revealing mastery. The greatest transformations in your life will come when you no longer crave attention for your efforts. When you understand that significance isn't about being visible. It's about being valuable. You can be behind the scenes and still be the one shaping everything. You can be silent and still be the one carrying the most weight. That's confidence. The freedom to know you are enough without needing the world to echo it back to you. Significance is not earned by being seen, it's earned by being undeniable. Spiritual detachment allows success to flow without resistance or fear of judgment. When you cling too tightly to outcomes, when you obsess over how others will perceive you, You create tension that blocks the very progress you're searching for. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing. It's the art of trusting the process, of giving your best effort, and then releasing the need to control every reaction, every opinion, every outcome. That release is what opens the door for success to enter naturally. When you're attached to how others see you, you become a prisoner of their expectations. You hesitate, you overthink, you compromise your truth just to fit into a narrative that isn't yours. But when you detach, you step into freedom. You no longer fear judgment because judgment has no power over someone rooted in purpose. You no longer resist failure because you understand failure is just feedback, not a reflection of your worth. And when you let go of that fear, you move boldly, you act decisively, and you create from a place of alignment rather than insecurity. Think about water flowing in a river. The moment you try to grasp it too tightly, it slips through your hands. But when you allow it to move freely, it finds its path, carving even through stone. Success is the same way. When you force it, you lose it. When you trust and release, it finds you. Spiritual detachment is strength because it shifts your focus from needing validation to living your vision. It's about acting with intention and letting the results reveal themselves in their own time. That's when success comes with ease, not strain because it's flowing from alignment, not desperation. Legacy is built quietly, moment by moment, long before the applause comes. Too often people think legacy is born in the spotlight, in grand achievements that everyone can see. But legacy doesn't begin in public. It begins in private. It's the daily choices you make when no one is watching. It's the discipline to keep showing up when no one is clapping. It's the integrity to do what's right, even when no one will ever know. That is where the foundation of legacy is laid, in the hidden spaces, in the silence, in the unseen sacrifice. The truth is, what the world eventually celebrates is only the surface of what you've built. The recognition, the applause, the acknowledgement. That's just the fruit. But the roots, the part that truly sustains it all, are formed in obscurity. Legacy is not the result of one big moment. It's the accumulation of small, consistent actions that align with your purpose. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you resist the urge to quit, every time you choose growth over comfort, you're carving out a legacy that will outlive you. The mistake many people make is chasing applause instead of building foundations. They want to be remembered for what's visible, but they forget that what endures is invisible at first. Legacy is who you are when the lights are off, not just who you are when the world is watching. And here's the power of it. When your legacy is built quietly, it cannot be shaken. It's not dependent on trends, approval, or fleeting recognition. It's woven into who you are, and it can't be erased. Long before the world applauds, your legacy is already alive, silently shaping everything you touch. The universe rewards those who align with purpose, not those who perform for attention. Too often people exhaust themselves trying to impress, trying to be seen, trying to craft an image of success instead of actually living it. They perform for recognition, chasing validation as if applause can fill the void of a misaligned life. But the truth is, no amount of attention can compensate for a lack of purpose. Purpose is the compass, the anchor, the fuel. Without it, every effort eventually feels empty. With it, even the quietest work becomes unstoppable. When you align with purpose, your actions carry weight. They are not random, not scattered, not born out of the need to please others. They are intentional, precise, and deeply rooted. And the universe has a way of multiplying that kind of energy. Opportunities flow toward clarity. Doors open for those who walk in alignment. Success gravitates to those who act from conviction rather than performance. Attention, on the other hand, is temporary. It's fragile. You can chase it all your life and still feel empty because attention is about what others see, not who you truly are. The performer may win the crowd for a moment, but the one aligned with purpose shapes destiny. Think of a river cutting through rock. It doesn't perform, it doesn't beg for recognition. It simply flows in its purpose. And over time, it transforms landscapes. That's how alignment works. It doesn't rush. It doesn't force. It simply creates inevitable impact. The universe responds not to performance, but to authenticity. When your heart, your actions, and your vision are aligned, you don't need to beg for success. It finds you. Alignment creates results that no stage, no audience, no applause could ever manufacture. In the end, What will define you in 2025 is not how loudly you lived, but how deeply you built. The world is overflowing with noise. People shouting, performing, begging for attention, yet few are truly creating something that lasts. Your power will not come from the words you announce, but from the results you manifest. And those results are born in silence, in discipline, in detachment, in the sacred space where no one else is watching. This is the truth. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is creation. Detachment is not weakness. Detachment is freedom. And success is not something you chase. It is something you attract when you align yourself so fully with your purpose that nothing can shake you. Don't waste your energy trying to prove yourself. Don't trade your destiny for applause. Build quietly. Live intentionally. Move with conviction. And when the time is right, success will roar louder than any words you could have spoken. Let your silence in 2025 be your strategy. Let your discipline be your voice. Let your legacy be written not in noise, but in undeniable results. Work in silence because the world does need your explanations. It needs your example. And when your success speaks, it will not whisper. It will thunder.